Welcome to REIWA.com TV. I'm Charlie Gunningham.
And I'm Alex Lush. Nice to have your company. Now this month we're going to be going to Vic Park in our suburbs section, and we're also going to be talking to another group of real estate agents.
Talking of which, if you're a real estate agent like to be featured in an upcoming show, head on over to our Facebook page. Leave us a message.
But first, Charlie has the latest quarterly property data straight from REIWA House.
Is no news good news? Let's hope so where the WA and Perth property market is concerned. Looking at the stats this quarter, there's really been very little to shout about. So what is happening and what news is there to tell? Let's first get an overview from the man with the figures, REIWA's Director of Research, Stuart Darby.
Well, look, we're seeing the Perth median house price easing down very slowly, and we're seeing turnover quite flat, so there's not a lot of sales activity. There's a lot of property still for sale, although that is starting to trend down, but the important thing there, that's keeping a lid on price. And the other one too, there's no real pressure in the rental market.
So let's get out the graphs and show you where we're at. The preliminary median price for the June quarter suggests a fall of 3.1% overall, but once all the data is in, REIWA believes this will be nearer 2.1%, with your average house in WA costing around the $475,000 mark. And compared to this time last year, that's a drop of 5%. Now, this latest quarterly decline is the fifth in succession, eclipsing the four-quarter fall in 2008. Now, looking at the initial proportion of sales data, which represents some 80% of the market, properties in the 350 to 500,000 range remained solid during the last quarter, at the expense of the 600,000 to $1 million range. It's worth noting that the proportion of sales in the 1 million plus market remained quite stable. So how's sales activity looking? Statewide house sales are estimated to have fallen 5% in the June quarter, with the annual turnover down 29% on a 15-year average. Preliminary estimates suggest that house sales fell 5 to 7% in Perth after an 11% rise in the March quarter. In annual terms, turnover for 2010-11 was 27% lower than the 15-year average. And here's the real head turner. The current state of the market is some 45% below the activity of 2005-06. Better news for regional WA, where house sales increased slightly after a similar rise last quarter, and turnover in the multi-residential market has fared better this time around, with a small upswing in activity. And where first home buyers are concerned, the first home owners grant paid out this quarter has risen by 10%, the highest number since March 2010. Here's Stuart with more on that.
We're seeing a 10% increase in the number of first home owners grants paid, so that obviously shows that first home buyers are obviously confident in the market, and they're representing 25% of basically a weak market, and that's in line with our long-term trend of first home owners. And look, the other important one too, first home buyers don't buy at the median house price, like $475,000 in Perth. The latest data says that the first home buyer is actually buying a median house price in the order of $413,000.
Let's look at listings then, and they've plateaued in Perth around 17,000 for much of the last quarter, peaking at 18,200 in mid-April, now around 16,300. Listings have fallen meanwhile in both Mandurah and Bunbury. Average selling days continue to ease out, now at 79 days, exceeding the peak in September 2008. Now you may remember last quarter we were optimistic that the rental market was on an upturn, which could have preempted an upturn in sales. Well, that's not been the case, unfortunately. Rents stabilised last quarter. Here's Alan Burke.
Even though the historical data is showing that rents have stabilised, what we're seeing right now, though, is competition in the rental market. We're starting to see multiple applications on properties, and we're starting to see rentals rise. And that's going to be the trigger point for the recovery in the marketplace. We'll see a number of tenants move out of the rental market and buy their own homes. And we'll see a number of investors lured by the higher yields and the higher rents to come in and buy more properties. So we'll start to see the stock levels drop in the marketplace and a little bit of relief in the rental market. So that's the beauty of the market, everything comes back to equilibrium.
If you're working in the industry or trying to sell your home at the moment, you might find this all rather depressing, but you could look at it another way. You've got to wonder whether this now represents a fantastic time to buy. Certainly some leading experts seem to think so. And I can speak from personal experience, as I myself bought a property last month. Just by looking at the figures, it seemed like a great time. Probably the best people to ask, though, are those working in the industry, at the coalface, so to speak. So let's hear from our real estate agents.
I work in the Applecross area, Applecross, Mount Pleasant and surrounds. I would agree with the summary that Charlie Gunningham has given us. The market is very cautious. Days on market have increased. It's definitely a buyer's market. Buyers can see a lot of really good value at the moment, so there is some good buying opportunities, and the sellers that position and price their properties correctly are finding that there are people that want to buy.
The market's looking quite buoyant in Scarborough at the moment. Our listing stock levels are down from 6 months ago from 210 down to 160, and our sales have increased, which has been some positive signs. There are still some areas of concerns. Our top-end apartments are sitting on the market for quite an extended period of time, but overall the market is looking very good in Scarborough.
My area in the inner city and East Perth, our market has fared very well compared to the national average. I think national averages show a little bit lower, somewhere around 2% or 2 to 2.5%. I think ours has probably gone down about 1.5%, which isn't all that bad considering the current economic climate.
The best time that I can remember, certainly, and people that I know that have been in the industry a lot longer than me say it's the best they've ever seen. Property prices generally, I find, are back to 2006, 2007 levels. So in terms of buyers that are coming into the market now, they really haven't missed anything in terms of missing the market over the last 5 years. Value is very high, great time to jump in. I personally think it's at or very, very close to the bottom, so there's no point delaying, jump in now.
It is a buyer's market out there at the moment in Scarborough. I think that is across the board in Western Australian real estate. What we are finding in Scarborough at the moment is that because of our increase of sales, this is definitely an indication that our sellers and our buyers are agreeing on the value of property in Scarborough.
It is. It depends on how much cash equity you do have, or if you're in a position to buy something maybe bigger. So if you've got something to sell, or if you've got something to sell small and you're buying bigger, you've got better negotiating power, you're going to make more money.
More caution given the global situation. Perth is very well placed though. The fundamentals here are fantastic. People have to remember that. Unemployment's low, undersupply of housing, our population's growing, interest rates are still historically low, and our economy here, I'd rather be in Perth than anywhere else in the world, I think. And so probably more of the same for the rest of the year is what I can see.
We probably will see stock levels rise again come springtime, which means that there are more options out there for our buyers. Scarborough's a great area to have a look at for your first investment or even your first home. You can spend as little as $300,000 buying a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment that is only a kilometre from the beach. I mean, where else in the world could you do that? That whole coastal strip from Cottesloe up to Hillary's, Scarborough does have the lowest medium house price along that strip. We believe that we're going to see more cohesive action between our buyers and our sellers. Sellers are going to be coming to the party for our buyers, and we believe that the market will probably stay steady over the next 12 months.
In the inner city, I'd be a fool if I said that it was going to boom. I don't think it is going to boom. However, there are very, very high rental returns at the moment pushing upwards, so prices will go steady, possibly a rise. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say it's going to be huge, but it will be steady.
Heading east over the causeway out of Perth's CBD, you'll find the suburb of Victoria Park just a few kilometres away. The name comes from the Victoria Park Estate, a development that took place here in the 1890s. And the Victoria part, probably because Queen Victoria was still on the throne at the time. The building of the railway to Pinjarra in 1893 had a huge effect on the area. Within a few years, the population had reached over 1,000. From humble beginnings when there were just a few small houses built along the coach stops on Albany Road, we've grown to this, a vibrant, bustling high street with lots of dining and shopping on offer. And of course, you can't mention Vic Park without mentioning those cars. But it's not all about car dealerships, honestly. The dining's quite something, from Lebanese to Indonesian and a Chinese that has people queuing down the street to get into on a Sunday. And yes, retail is big on the agenda, but in fact the suburb is mostly residential. There was significant growth here in the 70s with the building of townhouses, which encouraged city types to settle nearer their work. Over a quarter of people now live in units or apartment blocks, and considering the activity on the highway, there are relatively quiet streets with a wide range of family houses and good parks. So what kind of place is Vic Park to live in?
great. It's close to the park centre and it's close to shops and it's close to the schools and it's close to the city, it's close to everything. It's great.
It's a fantastic place, it's a busy place, it's a great community, everyone's friendly, it's great having a little business running from here, so yeah, it's great. Love it. Beautiful. Recommend it. Great place to have a little coffee.
The council's ensured that certain streets are protected with heritage orders, so the area retains many of the characterful houses from the turn of the century. In fact, there are more weatherboard cottages here than anywhere in WA, including Fremantle. So with great transport links, a friendly community atmosphere and fantastic proximity to the city, Vic Park living could be the answer to all your housing dreams.
Time to wrap up now. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments about our show, do head on to our Facebook page or tweet us at REIWA.
In the meantime, this programme and others in the series is also showing on West Television on a Friday at 7 o'clock.
Next month, plenty happening. We're looking at living in Karratha and how technology is changing real estate. So we'll see you then. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.